spread yourself angel wings, flying high in the sky, carefree. You'd say, let's play and be happy. You say, time to seek, not to hide. I'd say that's a fine way to live your life. You say it's a need satisfied, a dream come true. All you wanted was a life in bliss, made of sunshine, not the morning mist. It's not about you, get your way. Take a breath is what you always say. Could you live in the land of the rhythm? There's no left but the right of the rhythm. Dark and night, night and day. It's the edge while there's more to play. You say let's play and be happy. You say time to seek, not to hide. I'd say that's a fine way to live your life. You say it's a need satisfied, dream come true. And tell me that you want, tell me that you need, or you could do with a man like me. Baby, if it's alright, I could help you sleep night. That's what you do for a man like me. Really go. Ooh, a good feeling. To let it into your heart. The good feeling. Let it in. Tell me that you want, tell me that you need, or you could do with a man like me. Oh, baby, if it's alright, I could help you sleep night. That's what you do for a man like me. You gotta let it in. One day you let it in. You gotta let it in. Good feeling, let it in. Oh, a good feeling. Let it into your heart. Ooh, the good feeling. Let it in. And tell me that you want, tell me that you need, or you could do with a man like me. Baby, if it's alright, I could help you sleep nice. What you do for a man like me? You know you want it, the good feeling. Let it into your heart tonight. Or can you feel it? You know you need it. Let it into your heart. Let it in. The light from the dark. Let it in, let it in, let it in. One little spark of good feeling. Let it into your heart. The good feeling. Let it in, let it in, let it in. The good feeling. Let it in, let it in. Oh, good feeling. Tell me that you want, tell me that you need a good feeling. Tell me that you want, tell me that you need a man like me. Tell me that you want, tell me that you need a good feeling. You know you want, oh, a man like me, baby. You need a man like me, yeah, yeah. Oh, the good feeling.
And our neighbors Portugal. Yeah. Um, our history has been influenced by many invasions. Yeah. Why? Because the Iberian Peninsula has two main borders, natural borders. In the north, we have France, but mainly the Pyrenees Mountains. That is the natural border in the north. And in the south, we have the Mediterranean Sea on the east side and the Atlantic Sea on the west side. And there is, you will see, when we arrive to Tarifa, the day before to jump to Morocco, we can already see Africa in the other side by the sea. Yeah? So it's very close by. There is El Estrecho de Gibraltar, that it's this little pass between Africa and Spain, that it's the natural border with Africa. So why it's important to understand this? Because many people from Europe, from the north of Europe, that try to reach Africa, we were in the middle, and also for the Africans, especially Arabs, they try to came to Europe and passing through Spain. So we have been always in the middle. So why it's important? Because as I told you already yesterday, Spain is a country with many cultures. Every region, compared to other countries, Spain has a very strong cultural difference in the food, in the culture, sometimes in the language, because the north has been usually invited by the Europeans from the north, France, England, Germany, etc., and the south especially from the Arabs. Yeah, so it's why it changed a lot, or it's a country of a lot of contrast. Going a bit fast, the first population that we had in Spain, the local ones, were the Aryans, we call it, were the local tribes from all Spain. But already with the Greeks, Phoenicians, and Romans, they started to reach Spain and Portugal 2,000 years ago. Actually, a lot of the Spanish cities and towns that we have around our country, they used to be built or created by the Romans. Yeah, so we have a huge Roman influence from 2,000 years ago, and in a lot of towns we have we still conserve very well our Roman architecture, medieval architecture, etc., etc. Apart from the Romans, also the Romans reached Portugal. One of the main cities were Lisbon, that they call Felicita Julia. Barcelona, in this case, was also an important Roman city, but was a place for the retire of the soldiers. They were going to Barcelona. They used to call it Barcino, to retire there. Cities as Madrid, as Salamanca as well. Also in the south, they were the Romans reached these areas. Going a bit fast, I go a bit fast with this. Some centuries later, another important period arrived with, apart from Romans, Greeks, and Phoenicians, some centuries later, we had also an invasion of Celtics. Celtics, you call it in English? Yeah, from the north of Europe. They reached mainly the north of Spain. How you call it?
Celtic.
Celtic. Oh, sorry. Celtic. Okay, Celtic. They reached mainly the north of Spain, what will be Galicia, Asturias, this area from here. Also the east, but not too much. And the Visigoths, the Germans, They also arrived to Spain, but mainly where will be the Basque Country. It's why the language in the Basque Country, we believe that might be coming from the Visigoth times. Some centuries later, an important period arrived that was in the 7th century, actually the year 711, when 10,000 men from Morocco, Arabs, they crossed El Estrecho de Gibraltar and they invaded all the Iberian Peninsula, reaching first Spain and Portugal after in the 714. These 10,000 men from Morocco that were Arabs, they also arrived in the same period to Morocco. When we cross to Morocco, we're gonna hear about this same history, because in Morocco the first population were Berber, that were a kind of nomads that still they still live in Morocco. But the Arabs arrived in the 7th century, and it's when they brought the Muslim religion in Morocco. So the same Arabs that they reached Morocco in the 7th century, they also crossed to Spain and they invaded all Spain. This in the 711. They live mainly in the north of Spain for 200 years, but in the south for 700. Around 700 until the 15th century. So a big period of time having this Arabic influence, yeah? And mainly in the south. It's why when we cross to Andalusia, we're gonna see a lot this Arabic influence there. The Arabs are, in some point, they reach all the peninsula, also the north, but slowly they stay mainly in the southern region of Spain, that is nowadays Andalusia, but that they used to call it Al-Andalus. Actually, a lot of our Spanish words that starts with A-L, Al-Andalus, almendra, almond, almohada, kilo, etc., comes from the Arabic vocabulary. They stay here mainly, they create the kingdom of Al-Andalus, and they stay here until the 15th century. For a short period of time, well, 100 years more or less, something very strange happened, well, it's very strange, very exclusive happened in Spain, and it's that three religions, they were living in peace at the same period. So Muslims, Christians, and Jewish, because also we had a big population of Jewish people living in the north of Spain. Also in the south, but mainly in the north. So this nice period, well, the Arabs, the caliphates and this, they fight between families, etc. They had their own wars, was more a familiar thing. But was this period of time where we had these three religions living in peace. But this changed in the 15th century. When, just to let you know, very basic, we had around the from the 12th century to the 15th century, we had three kind of kingdoms in Spain. In the south, Al-Andalus with the Arabs. In the center, we had the kingdom of Castilla. And in the east side of Spain, east side, south of France and south of Italy, was the kingdom of Aragon. Yeah? So what happened in the 15th century? That the queen of Castilla, Isabel de Castilla, and the king of Aragon, Fernando de Aragon, they got married. It was a political marriage, and they got married because the main idea was to unify both kingdoms, but also to reconquer all the Iberian Peninsula and to convert it in a Christian country. So we know this period as the reconquer period, or also the Inquisition period, because the Catholic kings, I'm sure you hear about them, they call it like the Catholic kings, they also were the ones that brought the Inquisition in Spain and also in the colonies that we had. So with the reconquer, they unified both kingdoms, and slowly they exposed all the non-Christian people from Spain, Jewish or Muslims mainly. You know the serrano ham that yesterday we were trying? Sometimes you see it in the cafes that are hanging to dry, but also in the Inquisition times was a way to show if a family was Christian or not. Because as you know, Muslims or Jewish, they don't eat pork. Yeah, so it was a way to, we are okay. Yeah. So slowly they started to reconquer all the peninsula, reaching Andalusia, Al-Andalus. In Al-Andalus, we had three main cities in the old times. In these times, the capital city was Cordoba, then Sevilla, and then Granada. Nowadays, capital city is Sevilla, but also Cordoba and Granada are important cities. So, with the same order, Cordoba, the capital city, was the first one to fall, then Sevilla, and then Granada. In Granada, there is a very important Arabic castle, a palace, that is called Alhambra. We don't go in this street, but it's very important for all the Arabic culture, also for Spain. The Arabs built this palace. And was one of the main reasons why the city was not destroyed, because the Caliphate from Granada in 1491, when the Queen Isabella Católica, she reached Al-Andalus and she reached Granada, were some wars, but the Caliphate was so worried to see the palace destroyed and his people suffering, that he decided to give the keys of the city in a peaceful way, putting some deals, like he asked the Catholic kings protection for his people, free religion, no higher tax, etc., etc. Of course, he gave the keys, and they never made this deal with them. Yeah? They were expulsed, and all the Arabs that they survived to the Inquisition and to the Reconquer, they back to Morocco. So this was in 1491. In 1492 happened also something very important, also in Granada, and is that one man that was called Columbus. Yeah, he came to Spain to ask for economic support to the Catholic kings. Actually, he remember that we are in a period in this century when the people thought that the earth was totally flat. So he already had this idea that it was possible to circumnavigate, of course. The earth. So his idea was to reach India, but doing this route. He went already to France, to England to ask for this economic support, but as they thought that this was a crazy idea, they didn't want to give this economic support. And he came to Spain first to ask this money to the king, but he said no, and then to the queen. The queen said yes. She was in Granada taking the city, and it's when she decided to give this economic support to Columbus. So people think that they were lovers. I don't know if it was love. So, thanks to this fact, which I'm not very proud, but okay. In 1492, also in Andalusia, but in another city that is called Huelva, Columbus took 3 ships, La Niña, La Pinta, and Santa Maria, and he went to his way to India, but reaching America. Yeah. Actually, he arrived first to the Caribbean islands, Trinidad Island, and we brought, unfortunately, the Inquisition there as well. Thanks to these colonies that we had mainly in South America, Central America, Philippines, and some other places, but especially in America, all the wealth that was coming from America was arriving to Spain, and it's how we built the majority of the buildings that you're going to see in the main Spanish cities, especially cathedrals, churches, etc., etc. More related to the religion. Yeah, the Catholic kings, they wanted to show all this power with the religion. So this was in the 15th century, was our golden age. But in the 17th century, already we went a bit down. We had some economical crisis, as usual. And then in the 18th century, France, Napoleon reached Spain, also Portugal. Well, as you know, Napoleon invaded almost all Europe, many countries around Europe. His idea was he was how do you say in English, aristocrat, yeah. But he had this idea of revolution because he wanted to go against the royal power or the political power. He wanted that the people, the medium class people, took the power, and of course, in general in Europe, it's the first time that in Europe we help each other, because any king or queen around Europe was interested that Napoleon was winning these wars. So it was the first time in our history in Europe that we were helping each other to go against Napoleon. The French, they had a big influence in the 18th century. Also, we can see a lot in the architecture of our towns and cities, especially in the north, with these French balconies that are very small. I'm going to point you some kind of this architecture. And then after this, going a bit fast, well, we entered at the beginning of the 19th century, when here in Spain also happened something very important for our history, and it's that we had two republics. These two republics means that in the Second Republic, that was in the 1930s, we exposed our monarchy, yeah? So our kings, that they are still here, they were exposed because it was mainly a republic between the left wing side and the right wing side. So the Republicans, that are the left wing side here in Spain, they didn't want the monarchy and they exposed them. With this fact happened something very important, that is that started our civil war. The civil war was mainly, well, started in 1936 by a military that was called Francisco Franco. He was more from the right wing side, and he was against this Republican power. So he wanted back the monarchy, etc., etc. And it's how in 1936 he took other militaries that they were on his side, and he started a kind of revolution against the Republican power. So in this period, the war started 1936 to 1939. A bit before that, the Second World War started, but it's why we didn't participate in the Second World War, because our country was destroyed. Franco won the war thanks to the help of other dictators, as Hitler, Mussolini, or Salazar in Portugal. As you know, we are talking about a period that Europe was quite fascist. So what he did was to ask support to these other dictators. He asked support to Hitler to bomb the north of Spain, mainly what is the Basque Country. You know Picasso, the famous Guernica? It's representing this bombing in the Basque Country, thanks to the help to the Germans. And for example, the last city from the left wing was Barcelona, and was the last city that he needed to win the war. So he asked support to Mussolini in Italy to bomb Barcelona, and it's what he did in 1939. So it's how he won the war. The deal with these other dictators was that they were bombing Spain, and they will be in charge to rebuild Spain. So the money will be back to them. Yeah. So in 1939, Franco won the war, and we had here many years of dictatorship until 1975. Yeah. In this period was a dark period for Spain, because in some regions the local languages from some regions, like in my region in Catalonia, or in Galicia, or in the Basque Country, was not allowed to speak the local language. So also, if you were against Franco, you were killed. So it was a period, as any dictatorship, to be quiet and not to be against the power of the dictator. In 1975, Franco died by natural reasons, and before he died, he brought back the monarchy to Spain. So for this period of time, we were without kings, but in 1975, he brought it back as he saw that he was dying. Yeah. Some people still nowadays, I say that it's very important because some problems that we have nowadays with Catalonia, Spain, that some people want to be independent, or the Basque Country, etc., etc. These still are the scars of our civil war because still our grandparents and this they passed to us what one and the other did. Honestly, I think it was a war where it was not good or bad. My grandfather always told me that, yeah, everyone was killing everyone. So, no. But, for example, my grandfather, many people was happy when Franco died. He kept a bottle of champagne for all these years, so the day that that he died, he did a big party. Then from 1975, Franco died, he brought back the monarchy and also started the democracy in Spain. So from 1975 to nowadays, which is not so long compared to other countries. Since then, Spain is a country that lives mainly from agriculture and tourism. We are a service country. Then in the north we have some industry, but mainly the main economies here are tourism and agriculture, and some industry in the north. Used to be a very big and important industry of textile in the north. Still, nowadays, it's one of the main industries. Also, ceramic, etc., 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 and also food for the animals. How you call it this?
Feed.
Yeah, well, yeah, some industry for the food. Yeah, for the dogs, the birds, yeah. And well, going a bit quick, this is the history of Spain. I'm telling you this because it's gonna be good to understand what we see and understand Portugal and understand also Morocco, yeah, because everything is connected in a way, okay? Naturally, but also it's a very important student city because a lot of the students from Spain and from around Europe, even around the world, they come here to study. I'm going to explain you the rest on the way.